We are going to cover 23.2 today, which has been a long-awaited release. Alongside of me is our founder, CEO, Pyotr Kononov, and we also brought in Richard Monk, who is our customer success manager. Most of you, especially if you're customers, have already met him. So we'll have these two along for the ride. But as I mentioned, 23.2 is a long-awaited release, and we've got a lot of good reasons for that. So we do have everything that we're going to be covering within the release, from domains to AI, Lineage, a lot of improvements across the board in functionality, but also improvements to the UI, which we'll cover. We did add in some new connectors and new sources, so we'll be sharing those. We will give you a peek after that to show what's under the hood and what we're working on. So again, we have a long roadmap for 2024, and that'll kick off in our first release, which is planned for January. We'll also cover some licensing. If you are interested in taking advantage of some of the things you may already have access, or you may be gaining access. At the end, we'll do a Q&A. We'll also do a Q&A around midway if there's enough questions. So with that, I'll hand it over to Pyotr and we'll get started.
Thanks, Chase. Let's get started with the presentation. As Chase mentioned, this is a very high-level overview of 23.2. This was so far the biggest release we ever had. There's a good reason for that. It was slightly delayed, as some of you might know. We had this big change in the so-called domains functionality, and it impacted all the areas of the application, all the applications. So it had to be done in one bulk task. So from now on, we are planning to do more releases more often. So the webinars will be also shorter, and I could get into more details. Right now, I'll just have just an overview of what we added. Okay, so let's start with the domains. Domains are this new long-awaited functionality where we have added a new type of asset, a new way of organizing your metadata, domains and subject areas. So some of you know subject areas. Subject areas in the past was an element you could add as a flat structure, as a list of subject areas under the data source. So right now, they have been moved out of the databases. They are now a separate hierarchy. So the top level items are called domains, and then underneath you have a hierarchy of subject areas. Building a hierarchy is one of those requests that we have been getting from for many years already. So we built it. As you can see, that there's a lot of changes went into that functionality. So we built not one but two separate hierarchies of domains. One we call data domains, and this is for IT and data. I'll talk about that in a minute. And the other one is business domains. Yeah, as name suggests, for business users. So they are completely separate, work more or less the same, but there are two different perspectives on your data. And we built in permissions. So now you can provide permissions, define permissions to a set of objects grouped into a domain or subject area. So for instance, over here in employment subject area, you group some tables, some data assets, terms, and that and you also define who has the access, and that impacts the visibility of those assets. So you can provide access to selected elements to your users, rather objects, rather than the whole data source, for instance. Data domains. This concept is used to reflect the way data and IT teams see the data. This is the way they are organized, their teams and those products itself. You can use it for the domains as understood in the Dataedo framework. Over here, you can see in my example that I've created a number of domains called analytics and then some domains. So this would be for analytics team, and that will group your data assets into particular domains. But you can also reflect the organization of other departments. For that, let's say there's like a business applications department, and they have different systems underneath. So those elements can represent anything like domain, department, application, module, product, data product, or something else. So you can break down the way data sees and IT sees the data.
And Piotr, we did have a couple of questions from that. So while we're on domain.
Okay.
So David asked, what happens to our existing subject areas when we upgrade? So do subject areas migrate to data domains?
Yes, good question. We have two, and the subject areas are migrated into data domains. So the first thing you do, you should probably reorganize it, right? Build those hierarchies, domains. But yeah, existing work is migrated to data domains. Also, we will provide a script if you did build this hierarchy in business glossary, another module not meant for that, but some of you did that. We can also provide you with a script that migrates this to this hierarchy.
Perfect. And then one other while we're here stopped. So Gabriel said, I assume that a data set is normally placed inside a data domain in the domains hierarchy. What kind of things should be placed inside business domains if the data assets sit in data domains?
Okay, moving on to business domain. So there are two different hierarchies. The asset can be in both, right? They're not, they can exist separately. You don't have to use any of them. So asset can be in both. Business domains, this is the more natural view of how you and your business, your company sees the business. So on the top level, there will be like business functions like HR, operations, and so on. And underneath, more and more specific topics. This is how a person, this is how would you organize your information of the business, if those were grouped into folders, right? So you put you build this hierarchy thinking of something that's most natural for people, and then you assign assets that are applicable, and then you can put asset in multiple subject areas over in this hierarchy, and you can put them in parallel to business domains, or but you don't have to. Data domains. So those are completely separate concepts. And business domains is accessible just for our highest plan. Chase will talk about that near the end of presentation. Okay, moving on. Another important update was in the AI department, which we're just starting to explore. Well, actually, we just delivered the first functionality. So the first functionality of more, there's more to come, is AI auto documentation. So basically, AI generates your descriptions, and it's quite good at it. This functionality requires OpenAI subscription right now. So it's not a service provided by us, our servers. This is something you have to have independently. In future, we'll be adding more engines other than OpenAI, and then probably we'll provide our own, right, if you'd like to use Dataedo AI. So yeah, at the moment, OpenAI subscription, you have to provide a token, API token in the portal, and the description can be saved in a separate field, and not only Steward can generate it. So the catalog can be more self-service. If you're a steward, you can edit those descriptions generated by AI and then save them as a native description field. So that's that. In the future, we're also planning to build a AI chat that will give information about the metadata, and more advanced data classification based on that data. Data lineage. Data lineage is something we're constantly developing, adding more functionalities and more automations. So in this release, we added a number of small but very important improvements. So first one is so-called linked sources. They represent connections in tools like BI and ETL. This concept is a little difficult to explain. The purpose of that is that catalog that Dataedo can find connections and find assets that already exist in your catalog. So let's say you're building you're connecting to your BI, and that BI has connections to your CRM database. So this helps you point to the CRM database in the catalog so that we can build a lineage automatically. We try to find this automatically, but if we don't, there's a question mark on this, and you should just change it out manually, point to it. We are not always able to find the right source, and then rerun the import, and the lineage will be built automatically. This is really useful. Small manual step, but it will help you with automations. We've added a number of extra fields for the column mapping. So some of you are building mapping of the lineage or mapping for the migration with some additional metadata, I don't know, owner, some transformation. And we built in the transformation field, which is just a text field, a description field, and a number of custom fields of your choice. So you can define which custom fields you like, what custom fields you'd like to have on this level. It's also possible to import it through interface tables, which I'll talk about later. We also added some extra additional fields, description, script, and link source on the process level. So process is this single step in the processing object. So it will be very important in the ETL tools, because every step in ETL will be a separate process, and stored procedures for every single script in a procedure will also be a separate process. Choosing SQL dialect, you can select this on the database level, or also on the linked source level. This is useful. We provide SQL parsers for 5 key dialects in our opinion. So this is SQL servers, Transact SQL, Oracle, MySQL, and Postgres. Postgres also includes Redshift and Snowflake. So if you can use it for other sources if the dialect is similar, so you can just select one of those and see how that works. And for SQL parsing, we've added Snowflake dialect in this version, and CTE support for Postgres, MySQL, and Oracle. Data profiling. We, in general, refresh the UI and UX of the profiling window. Should be more useful or easier to use. And yeah, let's see the specific changes. We've built in the value distribution chart. It's available for the number data types, and we break down the scope. The span of the data into 10 categories, and then count how many occurrences there are. Quite useful if you would like to understand the distribution. So this chart is available in desktop, and it's saved, and it's also visible in the web. We now also disable option to save sensitive data. By sensitive data, we mean the classified, the one classified with classifications in Dataedo. On this window, you provide information which labels should not allow saving of profiling and saving of distribution, and values profiling. So it will be visible like that, right? So if there's an email, that will not be saved and profiled and saved in the repository. We've also added sample data, moved it from the profiling tab and moved it to the main tab. So this is in desktop. If you're browsing table, you can just go to the sample data and click refresh, and it refreshes. This is not saved in the. This is just in your session. It's not saved in the repository. So every user, every time they open up the desktop, has to do it again. We're considering doing that in web. Could be a slightly more difficult. If you think it's useful, let us know in the chat. For profiling, you can now add a where statement if you'd like to exclude certain rows. For instance, rows older than some date, or exclude some certain statuses, and so on. So you provide this statement, and profiling runs with the additional where statement. Okay, you can also rerun profiling. It's easier to run it with running this button, and also what's important, you can rerun it with the command line. So once you selected all the tables and columns and profiled it in the initial profiling, then you can simply save this command line, and you can run it with from command line, and you can schedule that. So that's really useful, because you can schedule profiling, for instance, every week. Okay, and changes in the portal. We renamed Dataedo Web Catalog into Dataedo Portal. So the first change is our own idea of for the exploring of your metadata, exploring your data models. We called it Keyword Explorer. So what it does, Dataedo looks at your data model, all the naming, and extracts all the keywords and combinations of keywords, and builds like a cloud of those keywords. You can see over here, what kind of keywords exist, which are popular. Then when you click a specific one, you will see what assets, columns, reports, and so on have that particular keyword. It's quite smart. It can break camel case. It can remove those underscores and so on. So it's quite smart. You can use it to search. You can also use it. You can filter it down to a specific source if you'd like to navigate, explore it for a particular database. You also can see similar keywords, or keywords that are often occur with particular asset. We redesigned search. It's much faster right now. It includes permissions, which is very important, and we display the results slightly differently. You can now select specific type of the assets from this menu, like tabs, right? So much quicker to and easier to find a specific type of the object. There's a simple share button. It copies the link. It should increase shareability of the asset. It just copies the link, and it's easy to paste it in the in Teams or Slack. We also added option to open a particular object in desktop from web. In last version, you might remember we've added option to open from desktop to portal. That required adding URL, so configuring this link, adding URL of the portal, because it's not self-aware of where is it available at. This change requires you just installing desktop. It installs specific protocol in the system. Yeah, really not that important. Just the fact that you just install desktop and then you can open this particular object in the desktop using this button. Customization. This is something a lot of you ask for. So you can change the background, logo, name of the catalogs, add some additional field, text field for the login page and the home page. So yeah, you just do it from the UI in the portal. We changed the navigation slightly. This functionality is particularly useful for columns, browsing columns. So previously you would open every column as a new page, then you have to go back. Right now you can preview all the important information with the side panel. So you click on column, it opens the side panel. We'll be adding more information here, right? So you can maybe see some profiling, some, I don't know, in the future, some data quality metrics. And if you'd like to go to the object, just click this link here. Yeah, should increase should be easier to navigate columns. History of changes is now also available for the portal. In the past, so quite a while ago, we've added saving of the history of every change you make to the descriptions, titles, or the other custom fields, and it's now available. It was available for a while now to preview in desktop, and it's also now available for the in the web, in the portal. This change involves this is part of the schema change tracking. So when your code changes, we now display the code difference in much more useful way, showing you what was removed and what was added in the code. And you can define the types of terms in your glossary directly in the web. We'll be adding more and more configuration in the web directly. And we also, for the better user experience, to expand your working space, you can hide certain elements like this menu on the left and those attribute panels. And also, we improved the way you display users in the catalog. So, for instance, data owner field. Let's have a look at desktop. We rebuilt the UI significantly. This was dictated with the introduction of domains. So right now we organize the information. Yeah, it's more organized. So at the top level you have the categories, so business domains, data domains, glossaries, and data sources. And the preview of the assets in this particular container is visible in the next panel. So and another change is that you have to double click. So if you double click that, you see the objects, and if you double click that, you'll see the preview of the object on the right, as it used to work previously. Another big change is the introduction of the breadcrumbs. And it works like that. It works like in Windows Explorer. You can choose. You can use it to navigate the catalog. But what's more important is the back and history. So we can go back to objects visible before. If you click this button over here, it shows you all the other objects. So we can then click on the objects to go back, and there's a full history in the panel there's this icon of the clock. If you click it, you'll see the full history. We also added option to connect to the repository over SSH tunnel. So it's much safer to host your repository in the cloud. In the future, we'll be working on connecting over REST API, also secured. So you will not have to, in the future, provide access to the database from outside at all. But SSH tunnels are a secure way, so that's secure. But there will be less configuration in the future. Yeah, so that's desktop. Import improvements. We are constantly improving the imports for the past couple of releases, and we've added a better tracking of what's actually happened. So we've broken down import into steps. You can see some statistics. There's also logs saved in the files for auditing, and we're also working on the performance. We take every step and see where we can improve performance. So schema loading is much faster. Right before it was one step with the previous one. So in general, these steps are faster, and we are currently working on improving the performance of parsing and building Lineage. So we're improving performance, but adding steps, so more automation. So it takes longer again, but in when we'll be done, I believe it will be, even with those extra steps, it will be much faster. And we have improved the interface tables. I'll stop there for a second because this is a very useful functionality, which not a lot of you are aware of that, what that actually is. This is a form of API. This is a way to import data into repository. You upload the data into predefined interface tables, and then press import option, and it's then validated and safely imported to repository, making sure data is consistent, valid, and we do all the necessary steps like tracking changes and so on. So you can import right now a lot of metadata like tables, schemas. We've added reports and Lineage and so on. So if you'd like to import Lineage, for instance, you can use those tables and then use desktop. It's visible like a separate connector, right? So if you upload the metadata into tables, choose the interface tables connector and load it into repository. Very useful feature, and not a lot of you is aware of its existence. New connectors. We've added a bunch of connectors. I'll provide overview of all of them. So first is so-called custom connectors or custom SQL connectors. This is the mechanism that we can use and you can use to build SQL-based for SQL compliant databases and data sources that support SQL. You can build connectors quickly without us having to build them into the product. So basically, they're distributed as an XML file with a predefined set of queries. So you can write your SQL if you know how to extract the information. We can also help you. That's what we do. We actually did build a couple of those connectors in this version. So SAP Advanced Database Server, Informix, DB2 iSeries, ClickHouse, and Starburst/Trino. These are the ones we've built, but we can quite quickly provide with the additional connectors. So if you have a data source that supports SQL, we can help. We can build the connector for you. We can help you, or you can do it. The thing is right now that it has to be signed by us, so you have to sign the whole file. We sign it, and then you can upload it to the desktop. So you can reuse some connections. So you can use ODBC, or maybe it's MySQL compliant, for instance. And it supports all kinds of metadata, including data profiling or importing lookups for reference data. Next one is Microsoft Fabric. This is slightly rebranded Synapse and Power BI. So we provided, this is visible as a separate connector because there are slight differences in the way it works. So we've built the Fabric. If you're using then it's a new connector for you. Synapse pipelines. We had a Synapse connector for a while now. Synapse has something called pipelines, and it's Azure Data Factory, but also very specific. So you cannot use ADF connector. We built a separate one. You connect with this to Synapse, and then it builds Lineage automatically from pipelines. We've built support for Power BI on-prem, otherwise called report server. It's a completely different technology than Power BI in cloud, and we import all kinds of everything except data sets, because Microsoft for some reason doesn't provide this metadata. So we import reports, and for paginated reports we can also import data sets and build Lineage. But for Power BI reports we are unable to build the Lineage. It's a limitation. We don't know how to, if there's a workaround or that we could use, but yeah, that's how it is. If you're using on-prem, the Lineage will be limited. We've also built a SQL Server Analysis Services multi-dimensional connector. Microsoft called two separate technologies with the same name, Analysis Services. There's multi-dimensional and the newer tabular. We had a connector for tabular for a while now. This older we've built right now, and it imports cubes, dimensions, and their measures, calculated measures, and so on. And we also import the data source view, which is the logical view of your physical model of the tables in the data, in that source database. And we built column level lineage. So you have to make sure to use those linked sources to properly point to the imported database. If you do, and you import, then it will build end-to-end lineage. So from your SQL Server database to cubes. We've added extra connectors for data lakes. So we've had Amazon S3 and Azure data lakes, and we've now added, you can now connect to FTP or SFTP or import files from local folder. MySQL Core Connector. There are many forks and clones of MySQL, and they're not fully compliant. So the older they split from MySQL, the bigger chance that something will crash. So we built like the minimum scope for MySQL. So there's the least chance something will crash. The biggest chance that it will actually import the metadata. So you can use MySQL Core Connector for all those forks, MySQL compliant databases which are not MySQL, to increase the chance of connecting. We can also build the native, the custom connector for you, or you can try to do it yourself. And improvements. So basically, we've improved a lot of the existing connectors, and all of them are basically about building lineage. So for SQL Server, we created lineage for external tables, so-called polybase. For Synapse, we're also building lineage. It would, the best to check the documentation for specifics. SSIS and SSRS were significantly improved. So I feel the SSIS connector right now builds a column level lineage, including your SQL. It's quite a mature connector right now. For Tableau, we are including also Lineage from Prep Builder. So this is this ETL build into Tableau. Yeah, and for all the other sources, we built some kind of capability to import more Lineage than before. And for the CSV connector, we've added option to select the delimiter. So you can use a pipe, you can use the semicolon and other chars or tab rather than just comma. Okay, let's see what we are cooking. We're doing quite a lot of development right now. And as I said, we will be releasing them in shorter intervals. So the next release is planned for early January. So first, the most important change would be workflows. Workflows is it's an umbrella term for a lot of functionalities, and we'll be adding quite a few functionalities. The first one would be to have a status field for the manual objects. By manual objects, I mean business terms, lookups, domains, subject areas. Over here, you can see the status as a color, and here as a label. So you can change the status in desktop. It's also visible in web. Right now, it will be just a preview. Currently, there are no permissions, and this is just a label. However, it's very useful because you can indicate to other viewers and to yourself as you're building it. Where are you with the work, and what's the current actual status of those items? In near future, we will be adding publishing and visibility options. So, for instance, idea and in definition will be visible in desktop. It won't be visible in the web, in the portal before you approve it, right? For instance, or it will be visible for some stewards or approvers only, but not for general public. So you can work on ideas and don't show work in progress in the catalog. We'll also provide option to define permissions. So, for instance, the approval would be available just for a select group of people. And different type of workflows where you can, so users who have edit capability will be suggesting edits. So those changes will not be saved directly. They will just suggest it, and then approved will require to be applied, will require someone with permissions to approve and save those changes. Lineage for stored procedures. This is something we've been working on for quite a while now. We built Lineage for SQLs and views. It's very useful for all kinds of reports, for instance. Stored procedures is more useful for any kind of processing and ETL. We're planning to do it in the first version of that for SQL Server in January. I'm not 100% about this date, but in general, this is something that we have like a dedicated team working on that, and the plan is to provide this capability next year for all the dialects we support. New lineage diagram also early January. What you see here is actually a screenshot. So we provide a hierarchy of those elements. It's easy to check the lineage for the column. There's an easy way to expand the scope upstream and downstream, the diagram. We improved the number of some logic that makes it more useful and clean to see what's the flow of the data. And this is a big change. This is a big new feature. We call it Data Steward Assistant. It will be a separate module that will be your data steward's best friend. So basically, we'll build a lot of logic, a lot of rules to suggest stewards what they should add to the catalog. So over here you see suggested lookups. We have this functionality of lookups, and Dataedo, using built-in logic, scans the catalog and finds the columns that potentially should be created as lookups. So should have a lookup link to it. So in this case, a master status, right? There is a column. There are some rules about naming, about data type, about some. Even we check the description. Maybe we check the profiling information and so on. So we suggest, and the stewards just their job is much easier. They go through the list and approve or reject those suggestions. So it's much easier, because there's always it's much easier to just review something and reject and approve it than try to figure out what to do. And there will be a lot of different categories. So we'll be building a lot of logic into this, so that the majority of the work will be just reviewing the suggestions. And yeah, so the version 0.1 with some basic functionality that will be released in January next year. It will be available in desktop. Whatever we prove as a concept works will be added in the future into the portal as well. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. Also, we are building in the AI chat. So you've seen this AI auto documentation feature, but we would also like to build the AI chat, also based on ChatGPT or maybe other models in the future. That will, in step one, you'll be able to talk to it about your metadata. So ask about some, to provide some answers about the elements in the catalog and so on. In the next step, write a query for you that you can copy and paste to an external tool. And in step 3, even execute the query and present the results. Yeah, but that's the work on that is unknown. There is no timeline. However, the AI chat should be available sometime in Q1 next year. At least that's the plan. And connectors, we are constantly working on connectors and putting a lot of effort into adding the automations for Lineage. So for the new connectors, we are introducing Databricks in early January, and we started working on Click Sense, and we'll be working on some other ETLs and BI tools as well. And some other things, data quality, option to build in some rules. Data will test those rules and then save the results and maybe provide some dashboards, some quality metrics, and so you can track progress. Dashboards. Convenient scheduler to make it easier to schedule those metadata scans, profiling, and so on, and the API for better integration of our product with other software. And that would be it.
I know we have 5 minutes left. Peter, maybe we could touch on the licensing, then we'll run through some questions real quick. That way people know. But there are 2 things missing in legacy licenses. In short, AI automation and data domains are missing in legacy licenses. If you are interested in taking advantage of those and you are on Data Catalog, Enterprise, Metadata Manager, or previous, please let us know. We'll give exclusive discounts for legacy customers. Make sure that we can get you guys up to speed. For the recording purposes, Piotr, maybe we'll go to the next slide and make sure that people have contact information. So if you are interested in licensing, Jonathan will be a great contact to reach out to for upgrades and discounts. New customers will go to Patrick, and training, of course, Richard will be your best bet for that. So we'll go ahead and wrap up here, guys. So we appreciate you guys joining in and running through everything. We will be having a couple more webinars coming up. So we'll be having a Lineage webinar, a data domains webinar, and then, of course, we'll have our 24.1 release, which is planned for January. So we'll be having a few more topics coming in over the next month on the webinar side. So looking forward to seeing you guys then. And with that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks, Piotr. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.